time no see. Welcome to Southern Ontario, where I've been quarantining since I last saw you, basically. And I hope everybody's safe and happy and healthy. And I've decided to do some video, let's do air quotes, lectures, because we're covering my favorite part of physical geography, which is the hydrosphere. And it's what my PhD is in. It's what I've studied for the last 15 years of my life. It's really what gets me out of bed and also helps me find wonder in this world. And I think one of the most cathartic things for me, or healthful things for me to do during this COVID time, or any difficult time, is to go find a nice stream, such as this one, and sit and just relax a little bit. So today's, oh sorry, I'm looking at my dog. Today's, or this week's component is I want you to go find a stream pretty close to your house, if you can make it outside safely, wearing the proper PPE, or and if you can't, we'll find an alternative. You can do a lot of this online, but I'd like you to travel out to a nearby stream and make some casual observations. And I'm gonna send you a link in the worksheet on how to generate something like this, which is called a hydrograph. So this week you're gonna have to do a hydrograph and visit a nearby stream. Your hydrograph is probably gonna look more like this. And what a hydrograph is basically the heartbeat of a river. It's flow rate or discharge, so how much water is flowing out there past Mira over time. So I could just let this run for, let's say, a minute. And what's the volume of water that's passing right here in a minute? It's enormous. I mean, if you look out there and look at Mira, she's about the size of, I don't know, a 5-gallon bucket. And if you look and see how much material is moving past us right now, that's a lot of 5-gallon buckets. That's an enormous amount of water, even though it doesn't look like much when you first approach it. And is this as high as this river usually flows? No, it's not. I can see, using my hydrograph, that just a week ago it was much higher. Right there we had some storms come through, lightning and everything, and it dumped a lot of rain, made the river swell, rise up, and it was flooding most of its banks. So where Mira is and the rocks here, this is the area that it will occupy when you have an increase in discharge. And discharge is what we talk about when we look at stream hydrographs or stream flow. And it's represented, because it's science, as Q. We use a letter to represent discharge. It's Q, and it's just how much water is moving past a certain point at a given time. And then it's nothing compared to what we saw at the end of March. We got a lot of rain, and this river spiked dramatically. It's hard to do this with one hand, but you can see, here it spikes dramatically in mid-March. And this was just a rain event, and then it takes a little bit to reach the stream, and then when it does, it surges. It just grows exponentially, a lot like the coronavirus cases we saw around the world. And then the curve is lowering again. So I'm in Canada. They offer the same basic services as the US, and actually ours is a little bit easier to access, so you should have an easier job than me. But what you're going to do is visit a nearby stream if possible, and if not, you're going to have to do it digitally, but I would rather you include a photograph, or you could even send me a little GIF or YouTube something of your visit to a nearby stream. And I'd like you to make some comments on discharge. And I'm looking at the system right now, and I have my cheat sheet, so I can say, oh yeah, it's actually moving at a pretty low volume. This is basically today, and it's used to actually carrying a lot more water than it is right now. So that's basically what I want you to go do. You're in a completely different rain system compared to me. My dog is dragging rocks out of the water. You're in a different meteorological zone, and for instance, it was snowing here all yesterday, and you guys probably did not see a lot of snow, and it's Canada and I miss home. But Anyway, I'd like you to travel out to your stream and make some observations. And you don't necessarily need the cheat sheet, because when you learn how to read a river, the river will tell you. Because I can look and I can see out here in the distance that the stream can flow. Okay, there's the water line, but then I can see that it could follow up that vertical line and reach basically that walking path right there. And it's got, I don't know, 2 feet more to grow. And it usually does. You can see it's undermining that tree over there. Let's see, where else can you see this line? You can see it right here in the rocks. You can see they're all pointed the direction of flow. And then as we round this corner, we're rounding this corner, and you can see, okay, usually this stream is flowing right there, that it fills up to that lip. You can see that, okay, this stream, although this thing is really moving along, is used to holding more water than that. I don't even need the hydrograph if I can just read the geomorphology of this area. And what we're going to be discussing in the next couple weeks, the few weeks we have left, is the important work that rivers do and the ways that we've affected them. So beyond just giving us someplace to fish or do a makeshift YouTube lecture, these are the great shapers of our landscape. Without streams and rivers, I don't know, it would be just one big giant solid mountain with no real curves and crevices. It would be a really interesting geography. And it's because these guys, or girls, or they're not really gendered, but these systems do a ton of work, where you can see all these rocks that I'm standing on now are on their way to Lake Ontario, which is just around the corner here. And that's this river's main job. It goes from the escarpment further in the Canadian interior, and then it's flowing down and it's bringing with it a bunch of rocks, especially when it has more power, more velocity, a higher Q to move the rocks. And it's also moving finer sediment. Like you can see, hey Mira, we can disturb some of this, and you can see, oh wow, the sediment is moving because I disturbed it, but it's also, it got here somehow, so it was moving on its own. Anyway, the point is, these systems are important to know something about, because they shape the world in the realist way that you live in. I mean, yeah, we have some tectonic uplift and some plate convergence and things that we've discussed when we actually had face-to-face class. But those are the big processes that push up or push down things. But what sculpts it, what sculpts the beautiful sculpture that is the landscape around us, are streams, are rivers. So what I'd like you to do is to safely, in the next, I'm going to give you like a week and a half, go access a stream and take a camera or your phone and take some pictures and make some observations. And I would encourage you to look at the clast size, or the size of the stones, and then look at what we call bankful height. And there's more in your text that will tell you a little bit about pools and riffles and general fluvial geomorphology, but I'm just trying to keep it simple here. Usually it looks like kind of like a bathtub or a gutter, and at the top of the gutter you have to use your imagination a little bit. It becomes flat, and on the walls of the gutter it's straight up and down, and you can see that edge of the gutter. Just like when we walked around past Mira, you could see that gutter edge cut into the size of the rocks there. And that's what I'd like you to do, is to make some general observations and compare those observations to your hydrograph, which you're going to get off USGS website, which is a link that I'll send to you. And this should be pretty straightforward, should be fun, I hope. And especially if you got a sweet little dog like mine who likes sticking her head in the water and pulling out stones. Yeah, and it's an excuse to hopefully get out of your house safely, and it's an easily accomplishable social distancing activity. Okay, I'll be back next week with even more, and we'll keep working outside to the best of our abilities. Over and out. Talk to you soon. Bye.